All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Goose, Heck, Gabe, and Bob, the mortgage broker. In this episode, we have special guest Bob Thomas. We discuss mortgage loans, building relationships, reality TV shows, the competitiveness of the real estate industry, and we wrap the episode up with quotes from Tim Notke and Vince Lombardi Jr. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, Bob, thanks for joining us, man.
Anytime, guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so for those of us who do not know who you are, what you do, let us know.
My name is Bob Thomas. I'm a loan officer that works for a mortgage broker. And I love everything in regards to real estate.
Nice.
I love helping individuals. At the same time, I'm easygoing. There's a saying that people say, if you don't get along with me, I know it's not me. Other than that, I'm easygoing. Love watching movies, sports. Love getting haircuts from Miguel. Other than that, just simple going person.
Yeah.
I recently got married.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, just taking life at one step at a time.
Awesome. All right, so let's rewind it back a bit. How'd you get started in the real estate industry? Were you always doing the role that you're currently doing, or kind of how'd you get things rolling?
No, I haven't always been doing this, and it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I started off working with a big bank, Wells Fargo.
Okay.
Worked there for about 6 years. Realized it wasn't meant for me.
Yeah.
My goal was the same, to help individuals, but other than that, the way the structure was going through things and management and things like that, I felt like I was just a number.
Yeah.
Where then even if I genuinely wanted to help the person, I couldn't because it was beyond my control.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do. One long day, me and my best friend for a long walk, and he's like, you know how you become bank? He's like, you need to be the bank. Easy said than done.
Of course.
I wish I was a bank, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But it was that saying that clicked something in my head.
Yeah.
Don't know what it was. Started searching on how I can specialize in something.
Yeah.
I did do lending for banks. I was a closer. I was a notary, that kind of nature. Did business loans, credit cards, all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So lending was easy.
Yeah.
In that kind of standpoint, I understood like what it took to get a loan, but I'd never specialized in something. Started doing my research. I've always loved houses, loved real estate. Have friends that into real estate. My brother's into real estate.
Nice.
And with that being said, the journey began. Started asking mentors and individuals for help to guide me the right way. I met my current partner. His name is Mark Ross, and somebody introduced me to him. I just poured my heart out, told him my vision, my goals, what I want to be, what a young person like me would want to be where he is in 20 years.
Yeah.
He opened his arms open, welcomed me right in, and guided me the right way in regards to what I need to do, how I need to get licensed. Introduced me to different lenders in America, where you being this 30-year-old coming, they're not going to give you the time of the day.
Yeah.
And started from there. With that being said, last year during the pandemic, me and Mark always wanted to work together.
Yeah.
Because the pandemic happened, I had to postpone my wedding.
Wow.
Which freed up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I told Miguel this all the time. I was like, man, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I just called Mark and I was like, I was working with a direct lender at that time after Wells Fargo. I went to a direct lender to work, and I will obviously eventually explain what the differences of these lending people are in regards to the mortgage business. But I was working with a direct lender. Same thing. He genuinely didn't care about the individuals or the employees and that kind of nature. So I just jumped ships. Just out of the blue, said, hey, I'm quitting. I'm taking all my business. I know my worth. I know I have a bunch of referrals and family and a community that follows me.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm taking my business somewhere else. That's somebody that will definitely give me the time of the day.
Yeah.
Somebody that would care. And this way I can show them that I care. It wasn't just saying it. And then it just happened. Business skyrocketed. And it was also because of the timing.
Yeah.
Right. Rates went down, that kind of nature. But with that being said, now we're here almost a year later, where I'm expanding to different states, vice versa, hiring people, because business has been great.
Yeah.
And this is the way that I get to pay back. From what I learned, it wasn't about the money. It's never about the money. It's just always passion over paychecks.
Yeah.
And the only way I can pass that down is through knowledge that was given to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can't always financially assist somebody, but if I can save somebody money, or if I can get them to get into this house that they can't afford, maybe not now, but maybe 6 months down the road, help them and assist them in the right way, that's just a blessing for me.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And on your IG account, you have listed, my job is lending, my business is building relationships. So explain that a little bit more outside of what you already said.
Yes. It's kind of, I thought it was self-explanatory.
But the importance of it, right? Because it's kind of what you said. You said passion over paychecks. And just to kind of emphasize that point a little bit more, that we have listeners who are hustlers, they're grinders, they'll sell anything to make a buck, right?
Correct.
When in the long run, there's certain there's certain relationships, I should say, that you can maybe tap into because of how a good steward you were with that relationship in the beginning. Maybe, like you said, you didn't necessarily have anything much to offer in the beginning, but you're just a good guy. You're hooking them up with X, Y, and Z, and they remember that.
Correct.
And you always remember the person who kind of opened up a little door for you, right? Even if they left it cracked open, like, I know he's going to do his thing. But there's a lot of people who are out there hustling and might be damaging relationships just because they're just running through stuff, right? And when we're young, we're blasted with all this energy. You're going to make it to the top, 15-car garage, you know what I mean? All this craziness. And so I just want to emphasize or highlight that point about building relationships and the importance of it, even just later on down the road.
Correct. And it's not just building relationship with clients, it's also building relationships with other individuals in the game. Yeah. In real estate, there's a lot of people attached to it.
Yeah.
When you close one loan, you'll be surprised how many checks go out. That's starting from the township, the state, the lender, HOA if they have it, homeowners insurance, right, an inspector, an appraiser, you name it, 12 people are getting a check.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
And these are all individuals that you need to not only have a relationship with, but work in a consistent base. And there's not just one realtor, right? There's realtors everywhere, especially like I have about maybe a handful of realtor friends that are different markets. And what I do is, a way I build relationship is if you go to where I like to separate myself from everyone else, is like, hey, I tell them, hey, let's set up a weekly call or a conference call. If you guys don't all want to be in together, maybe individually, tell me about your clients. I'll give you market updates every week. Or what are some questions or concerns you've had that your clients were telling you guys these days, where I take my time to give them that one-on-one service that individuals don't get these days. Everybody is hustling, correct? But nobody's paying attention to those little minor details. And so with that being said, I don't advertise. I just put up stuff of like my friends and family. Yeah. But other than that, I'm always busy in regards to like my phone's nonstop. Yeah. My emails nonstop. My social media, private messagings are nonstop and that kind of nature. So building a relationship goes a long way because what happens is today you might not get a deal. Today that person might get declined. But if you help that individual get to their ultimate goal, that relation, they'll never, like you said, they'll never forget.
Yeah.
And they'll always get back to you in regards to if they ever go get another deal or refer to their friends and family. And that is the biggest compliment ever, is when that individual takes their time out and talks something nice about you and they get you the other deal. So that's basically what I do in regards to building relationships. That's what it means to me.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm with you saying passion over paychecks. Like I said, I like to take the time to actually genuinely help the individual.
Yeah.
It's not about the paycheck, because that'll come no matter what.
Yeah.
Especially what I do, and I will get into details in regards to the difference of being a broker compared to being a bank. And so this way everybody understands that there is a benefit to it.
Yeah.
Hence why I'm doing it. So.
Absolutely. All right. So now that you've alluded to it, let's jump right in. So explain a little bit of difference between a brokerage firm, the bank, and why folks should go to maybe a mortgage broker versus trying to figure it out themselves.
Okay. When you go into a bank, and people, this is weird because people always think that you always only get a mortgage through a bank,
right?
Which is not true.
Yeah.
There are other mortgage companies out there and lenders out there. The difference between a mortgage broker and a bank is when you go into a bank, that's considered retail. You will get that bank products, and that's it. They'll run your credit. They'll give you what they have to offer. Whereas when you go to a mortgage broker, I have every bank on my payroll.
Yeah.
I sure 90% of the people don't care who gives them the money, as long as they get the money.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know. So, and I have that same bank that you walk into as a lender. So therefore, I don't do retail. It's considered wholesale.
Yeah.
And so therefore, the rates are better, the service is better, fees are less. And that's the route that we go in regards to being a broker. Those
Options.
are some, yes.
Options.
Yes, and flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which the bank is like saying, this is you qualify for it, this is it, take it or leave it.
Right, right.
Where I get to go over all the different kinds of things that you can qualify. I can explain it to you, educate you, you know. Me just telling you and forcing it down your throat, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
There are so many people and individuals I know, successful people, own $1 million houses, I got this and that, but they still don't know what the process is.
Yeah.
And so therefore they're getting screwed every single day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I love the analogy where they think, you go to a bank, it's, take it or leave it. This is all we have to offer. And a lot of people, like you said, it's just an awareness. Just being aware that there's other options, aware that especially now with rates being so low, and just the driver's seat that the buyer can be in. They don't realize that, everything's up to, let me get this loan if I could just get it. And people get so desperate because people fall in love with this one house and fall in love with the idea of X, Y, and Z. And sometimes they take away, I guess, maybe the strategy out of buying, and they just fall in love. And sometimes it leads to heartbreak. People get attached to things. Yeah. And that's not always fun. But talk about maybe one of your first deals and kind of like the experience and the emotion that, running through, like, I can definitely make this happen.
Right. So now, the first deal I ever did was at the big bank.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that wasn't pleasant.
Wow.
Because the individuals, the clients will ask you 101 questions, but you don't have answers because you don't have control over the whole process. They make you think that you do.
Yeah.
But it's just like a chain of commands, right? It's just you go to this manager, ask him this, try to push this. This closing that we promise will close in 30 days will take like 60 days to close. Because the big bank, just like me as an employee, you think you're a valued customer, but you're just a number.
Yeah.
And so, therefore, they have 1 million loans sitting there with higher rates, paying all these fees, which you should think you should be preferenced or prioritized, but you're not.
Yeah.
With that being said, it turned into a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
The sellers almost lost their deposits. I mean, the buyers almost lost their deposits. The sellers are harassing them, harassing the bank, calling the managers. They don't care. So
Wow.
it was a learning step, or a stone, let's just say.
Yeah.
And thank God it was somebody that I was very close to, and it was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Who understood what was going on.
Yeah.
And the realtor was a friend of mine too. So therefore, it was okay.
Yeah.
You know, we got the deal done. They didn't lose their deposit. They got the house.
I know. I remember you telling me this story, dude.
Yeah, and but you know what? That when you get a house, you should be so happy.
Yeah.
Right? Like you
Yeah.
accomplished something. Like
Yeah.
like you earned this. You did.
Yeah.
Man, they got the house. They were tired. They didn't want to do anything. They just want to I feel like they want to put it back on the market the next day.
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah, I remember him telling me the story as it was happening, and
Yeah.
they were all stressed out, which was obviously stressing him out. And then another thing, you're doing business with friends, so they have access to your phone number 24/7. So they call you 2:00 in the morning, like, "Yo, is this going to happen tomorrow?" Like for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like
Yeah,
another
Of
thing.
course.
Yeah, in this business, I don't. You can't lie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can, but you can get caught lying.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
You know, so there's no point of lying.
Yeah.
And doing like Miguel said, doing business with friends and family is tough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have access to everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, I have people come into my house. I call my parents. Hey, listen, he's doing this loan. Yeah, where is he?
That's got to be stressful, right? Walking in.
It comes with it, like I said. Hence why I made this change. Right
Yeah.
now, I got access and control of everything.
Yeah.
Whereas, hey, listen, you know what? You want to close legally? You can close in a certain amount of days, which
Sure.
is like 10 days.
Yeah.
This market, it's a little busy, so normally average days are like, let's just say 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, certain lenders are busy and that kind of nature, but I know that.
Yeah.
So we can structure it accordingly.
Right.
Right? Like, okay, I don't have to go to this lender because I know that their service is bad.
Mm.
But there are some lenders that have good rates and great rates. And I tell them, hey, listen, you can get this great rate, but expect a really bad service. And
Yeah.
people are okay with that.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And this way there's no surprises.
Yeah, yeah, for
You
sure.
know? So you tell them the truth. Or I'm like, hey, listen, this seller is, you know what? They want to close in a certain time. I don't want you to lose your deposit. So forget about saving $20 a month, because sometimes it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Right, right,
Where
right.
people think the rate is like the biggest difference, but it's really not.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to find a gray line in the middle sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it really worth the stress for 45 days? Let's just get over it in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And then move on, forget about the $20 a month, whatever.
Yeah.
So, it happens because it's not worth it to lose your deposit and that kind of nature.
Yeah.
Or stress about it for 45 days, and then you make everybody else and their mom stressful. So,
Yeah. So explain a little bit about when you said you left the big bank and you wanted to start your own thing. What was the process like? Just for, I guess, a little bit of words of encouragement or words of wisdom who someone else is maybe in that same boat this coming year.
Sure.
But how in the world did you tell your now wife, like, you guys are about to get married? Like, yeah, I quit my job. Like, how does that conversation even come up?
Oh man. So
'Cause I know my wife. I don't know how she would handle
Well,
it.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
The main reason I left in the first place was because of her.
Yeah.
She knew I was miserable.
Okay,
She
okay,
knew
okay.
that I
Well,
didn't
that's
like
good.
this, and I wanted to do it on my own, and so she encouraged me to do it.
Yeah.
When you're licensed with a bank, the only difference is when you're licensed at the bank, you don't have to take this exam. You get this something. It's called an NMLS number.
Okay.
Where if you're lending or you're talking about mortgages, home equity, and that kind of nature, you need to have this license number.
Gotcha.
When you work for a big bank, they're like considered a big institution, so therefore you don't individually have to go take this exam.
Gotcha.
You just fill out forms online or whatever. You get this number,
Yeah.
and you work for the bank.
Right.
Where when you go and you work for a direct lender is who uses their own money. Where brokers are, you don't use your own money, you just have all these other lenders.
Gotcha.
And you use their money to fund these loans. And if you're a direct lender or a broker, or if you are a loan officer that work for any of these, you have to go get your own licenses.
Gotcha.
You have to get things have changed.
Yeah.
To what it used to be. It used to be like if you wanted to be licensed in every state, you got to take a license in every state. Now it's just like there's just one overall national exam. And once you pass that, there's a pre-licensing course that you got to pay for it. You got to finish it in a timely manner, learn all the rules and regulations ever since God knows when, all the 80s, 90s, all that kind of nature, where the market changed and the industry completely changed in 2009 and 10 when the market crashed, why it happened, and all the rules and regulations that came about that from then. It changes every day. I mean, every year, let's just say. Yeah. Just got to keep up with it and that kind of nature.
Right.
And so I did the pre-licensing course, got licensed, and then, like I said, as soon as I got the opportunity to leave, it just happened. And yeah, it wasn't easy trying to convince her. Yeah. It's like, hey, I'm going to be broke for like 2 years, all right? But I'm helping people, So.
Making other people happy.
Yeah. And honestly, this whole journey started because of her. She knew that I didn't, my wife knew that I didn't want to do it. And I wasn't being true to myself. Yeah. It was just paychecks over passion at that point.
For sure.
And then it was scary. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was scary knowing that I wasn't gonna get a paycheck in 2 weeks.
Right.
Just picking it up, leaving. Especially during a pandemic. Just postponed the wedding like a day ago. We decided that, and I just pulled the trigger the next day. Wow. It was just, I don't know what I was thinking. I just jumped into the forest full of wolves. Yeah. Honestly, I just blessed that, like you said, it just worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, what about this gentleman? I believe you said his name is Mark.
Yes, Mark Ross.
So can you explain a little bit about some of the guidance or conversations you had with him during that process? Is he kind of helping you along the way, or pointing you in the right direction? Yeah,
great mentor. Talk to him every day. Nice. Our office is in Medford, New Jersey. He is upset that I don't visit him every day, but we at least have a conversation. So, no, I was introduced to him by a colleague.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, listen, this is what you want to do. If this is what you really want to do," and this is when I was working at Wells Fargo. Yeah. He's like, "I know somebody that will, will guide you the right way." At that time, there was a lot of individuals I reached out to and tried to seek help, but you know how that goes. Yeah. People were like, "Oh, this guy, he's whatever, or he's a BSer. Yeah. Or they're afraid that you're really going to come for them." Yeah. But it's just like, no, dude. I just want to know. I just want to know what had happened. And Mark took me to dinner one time, and he just said, "What do you want to know?" And he saw the excitement in my face, right? Yeah. And he's like, okay, slow down, dude. Like, okay. I'm sitting here talking about my dreams and stuff, and he's like, okay, I get it. The first half an hour, he let me talk. Yeah. And then he said, well, now these are the steps. Yeah. And just like any other deal, right? Like if Miguel comes in and like, Bob, I gotta hey, can you help me do this? I'm just so happy about the whole overall thing. Yeah. Which is like when reality hits, it's like, all right, well, let's just start from A. Yeah. And then we'll drive ourselves all the way up to Z. Yeah. And that was it. Not only how he guided me, right? So he paid for this. He paid for the course. He paid for me to go take the exam. He just said, hey, none of this stuff matters. Okay, the real world there, just like any other thing, is different. You just need to stay focused. You need to study these materials. You just need to pass this exam. Yeah. Once you're done, you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. So, and he was very patient, where a lot of people are not. Yeah. Now that's where I got this from. Yeah. I got to be patient. Yeah. Now that I'm hiring people or bringing people on board, now I'm very so patient because that's how he showed me. That's how he handled me.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm very excited. I'm passionate about it. I talk fast, and you would assume that people will understand what you're trying to say or trying to say in this industry, but it's a complete new language sometimes. So yeah, no, it was great. He just led me the right way, checked up on me, made sure I was okay. Once I passed the exam, he was the one who told me to go work for a direct lender. He just said, hey, listen, get your feet wet. While you're studying for the exam, while you are prepping, he told me, hey, why don't you do it at the bank first? And I said, no way, I'm not staying here another day. I gotta leave. I'm losing my mind. And he's like, okay. So I went on Zillow. Not Zillow, ZipRecruiter.
Okay.
And I found a local direct lender to work for. Which, as bad as it was, it was honest. It made me realize that I'm a very nice guy, and sometimes you can't be. You gotta have a thick skin in certain industries. Or people will walk all over you.
Of course.
So I saw that part of things.
Yeah.
And then when I pulled the trigger finally, because I was going to move and leave that place regardless. Once the wedding was done. Now that this whole thing got turned around and switched up, so then it was like, damn, I'm done. And I said, hey, I'm leaving. And I said, hey, with that being said, I'm letting all my clients know I'm leaving. And they just choose to come with me, that's their choice. I'm not going to force somebody. And guess what happened? As soon as I said I was leaving, everybody followed. So, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And so fast forward, all of a sudden now you're hiring people. Is it moving faster than you thought, or is it kind of like you're just going with the times, kind of going with this is kind of how the industry's moving, so you got to move with it?
Correct. You guys know that you guys are older than me. So with that being said, people tell you be very careful what you wish for. Yeah, I wished for it, and it happened in a second. So I wanted this, I wanted that, but guess what? I wasn't equipped to handle that. Right. Like, I can handle like 30 clients maybe in a month, right? Where and that doesn't always happen. It just happened. It was just timing. Right. The market crashed, the rates dropped. People were buying, people were refinancing, people were doing, renovations, consolidating debt. It was just a mix of things. So, and then I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, wow, if I'm not equipped to do this, that means I'm just like every one of them. I'm going to give them bad service, right? They're just going to be just a number at the end of the day because their loan or that file is just going to sit there and it's not going to get my attention. Where that then I'm just a bank. Smaller bank, but you understand. So we started hiring. He understood that I wasn't joking. That there was this big following and community when you give that time of the day or you specialize in giving them that one-on-one service that people acknowledge it. I just started off by just honestly helping my cousins. Helping my realtor friends, like, they would refer these clients and be like, hey, you should just talk to Bob and see, how much money he can save you. Or if he can give you a better rate. And people just started referring, and my phone was blowing up. It got to the point where I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and still go to sleep at like midnight, only just to keep up with it. When everybody, it wasn't just me, right? It was the whole market was flooded. So it was hard to find people at that time to just come and work for you. You needed somebody that was experienced in the industry, or you needed to have time to train that individual. Where I was in the middle of everything. So now that things have a little bit slowed down, we have been hiring other people. A lot of other individuals or licensed loan officers want to come work, bring their book of business, because they see that we can. We're not wearing suits every day. We go dressed looking like this. We're talking. It's just all about communication and relationships. Where they or make it a fun place to work at. Where hey man, you can tell me anything you want. And if we can't have a conversation, then
absolutely.
It's just how that goes. So hiring loan officers, loan processors, assistants. Some people love it, some people don't. and we just move on from that.
It's interesting too when you build the team, even just in whether you're in management or whatever. Everyone knows that when you build a team, communication is one of the biggest things, right? Just having that awareness that everyone's on the same page, so to speak, is a huge thing. Because if we're all we're all trying to go in the same direction or reach a specific goal, it would baffle you to know that there's so many people in these positions who have teams that they have to put together that half the people don't even know what's going on, don't even know what the general goal is. And that's because, maybe their leadership team has not even explored a conversation with them on just their personal level, right? And so as Bob was saying, you created an atmosphere where you're saying, you can feel comfortable talking to me about anything. And once you open up those doors, not that it has to you have to turn into people's counselor by any means, but at least they're comfortable enough with that. They already know, look, I'm going to be working with a guy who created a channel that I can communicate with him on a personal level. I know he's going to have my best interest when we're doing business.
Mm-hmm. Always. At the same time, I've lost a lot of business because of that.
Yeah.
Because you're too honest.
Yeah.
And they don't like that.
Yeah.
And you know what the funny part about that is? I've lost business that what I told them happened, and then they came back and at least gave me the benefit of the doubt of letting me know. It's just like, hey, whatever you said exactly happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I had no intention of lying to you.
Right, right.
I'm okay that you didn't give me business.
Yeah.
But the next time, remember that.
Right.
So,
that's awesome. All right, so explain how one stays in tune with, number one, the market, like on a daily basis. Is there websites or things that you have to visit or you have to, stay tuned with, or is there people or books that you should be reading, things like that? How does one stay abreast of what's going on?
It's a real tricky because there's not a lot of things on mortgages.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of things on real estate itself. Following the market, of course. The stock market does not actually may or may not affect the mortgage rates. The mortgage rates are basically run on a 10-year yield, where that is what it follows. If the 10-year yield gets hammered, then the rates go up.
Yeah.
If that goes down, that means the rates are going well. At the same time, the stock market may or may not affect it, but that also depends on the whole, let's just say, the new government coming in, or certain stimulus checks and that kind of nature. Yeah. So that's very hard to follow unless you're completely in the industry and you have access to these rates and lenders and that kind of nature. I get updated the lenders.
Yeah.
Okay, like what's going on, that kind of nature. At the same time, what's going on when you talk to your realtors.
Yeah.
When you talk to your clients. When, for instance, the current market is a seller's market, where everybody is outbidding for a house that may or may not be worth it.
Yeah.
So how do you, as somebody that's, prepare your clients for that, right?
Yeah.
So earlier you said, hey, don't get your feelings caught up in it. Everybody that calls me for a pre-approval or pre-qualification when they're going to see this house, okay? The first thing I tell them is, mortgage is just a tool, okay?
Yeah.
Don't get attached to the money. Don't get attached to the house. Just throw in an offer, see if you like it. First of all, obviously go see the house, see if you like it.
Of course.
See if you can afford it.
Of course.
And when you go see it, don't fall in love with it. Okay, just treat it like it's an asset, right? But treat it like it's that paper. That's it. And go from there.
Yeah.
Where it's hard, it's easier said than done.
Of course.
And then I get a call right away. I love this. I'll offer $1 million. Dude, it's not even worth $1 million. What are you doing? So it happens. I mean, we're only human.
Of course.
So I just got to sometimes, as much as I'm excited for them, I got to bring them back to reality and tell them, hey, listen, these are the pros and cons if you do it. So you see people think that just because they offer the price, if you throw money at anybody, they'll take it.
Of course.
Yeah, but there's a con to it, whereas if that value of the house doesn't come in that, well, you're reliable for that difference.
Yeah.
Where the sellers are not going to eat that up these days.
Yeah.
So my job is to, every individual is different, meaning in regards to getting their qualification wise, and every house is a project of its own.
Of course.
So based on that, they call me the mortgage doc. It's because I dissect the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't tell them like, hey, this is what you need to do. I'm like, hey, this is your options A, B, and C, and I tell them, hey, this is what I think is the best.
Yeah.
And based on your goals, usually that's my first thing I ask them. What's your goals?
Yeah.
Like you want to buy this house. It might be your first time buying a house, second time buying a house, might be an investment property.
Yeah.
What's your goals? Like,
Yeah.
what's your goals now? What's your goals later with this property, right?
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't have it.
Yeah.
We don't sometimes know how it's going to turn out to be.
Sure.
But what's your goal now, or what do you have in mind for it, right? And based on that, I structure those deals accordingly, specifically for those individuals.
So explain a little bit about, in your opinion, the importance of maybe pre-qualification, pre-approval, and that. Just your spin on it and your take on it. Do you tell all your clients to get pre-approved first or get pre-qualified?
Yes, of course. You want to know if you can afford it first, or how much you can how much you can afford. At the same time, and if you don't, that's okay. The bank will tell you you're denied and leave you hanging.
Yeah.
I promise I don't do that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, yes, you got denied, and why you got denied, and what you need to do to get yourself there.
Yeah.
Same thing. Somebody will tell me their goal. I'll run the numbers, and fine, they're denied, right? I'm just be like, hey, Jimmy, you're denied, dude. You suck. Like,
Of course.
or make them feel worse than they need to.
Right.
I'm like, hey, Jimmy, yes, you're denied, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You're not the first. You're not the last.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need to do in the 6 months. This is what I see is wrong. If you don't have any money or enough money to qualify for that home that you currently want, well, tell me about your goals. Are you okay? This is how much you're making. I'm not a financial advisor.
Sure.
But I would get out of my way just to help them save money. Vice versa, if their credit and stuff looks bad, that's something I can help them in. And I'll tell them, hey, listen, pay this off. Or, hey, you know what, in 6 months, if you do this is where you'll be. And I'll constantly follow up with them. I'll drop a call. I'll text somebody. I'll email them. It's like, hey, listen, how's this going? Okay, we're still gonna get you that spot in 6 months, right? And then at the same time, they are, if somebody has a goal and it just got crushed, I don't want them to stop.
Yeah.
I want them to work on it, because at one point, like, they wanted that, right? And would the goal change? Yeah. Sometimes they'll be like, well, Bob, you know what? You said 200. I want to go 300. I'm like, all right, well, you're pushing it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another 2 months is fine. Like,
yeah.
And I just don't like leaving people hanging, because honestly, I was taught at a very young age, like, wealth is not the money. It's good to say that you're wealthy or you're rich, but how I started off this podcast was, I like to share wealth, meaning the knowledge.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody actually randomly that doesn't even know me took their time of the day to bring me into this game, to make me understand it, paid for it, so that I can be where I'm at now.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He could have, just like everybody else, he could have just been like, he's a little kid, or hey, he's going to come for my job, or hey, he's going to, where this Mark wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Completely left the door open, welcomed me, and even suggested that I go work for somebody else to learn how brutal that was.
Yeah.
And then when I was ready, he just said, this is the perfect time. I need you. Let's do this.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, man, and just to go back on the the pre-approval process and all that other jazz, you're setting your clients up for success, even though how, sometimes, like you're saying, maybe you need to wait another 6 more months, get X, Y, and Z situated, maybe just not yet. And people get anxious, people get excited. People suffer from, the fear of missing out. They think, oh, it's a big boom, oh my gosh, I don't want to miss out on this. And maybe it's for a reason why you're not just yet there, right?
Yes.
And it's important to have someone like Bob on your side. And I know me and my wife were purchasing our home. We saw the house, it was what we wanted, and I remember looking at her, and we were approved for it, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with that price, you know what I mean? Yeah. And she's like, all right, and I was shocked. She just said, oh, well, it is what it is. I'm like, but man, if that price does drop, we're gonna keep our eye out. And we were getting married that year, same kind of thing. I'm like, we got other things to, bigger fish to fry right now. And a month later, and it was under contract anyway, and whatever. A month later, it goes back on the market because the person, whoever put the offer in, didn't get approved for the loan. Now you have a desperate seller who's like, forget it, I'm dropping the price. I got to go. This person had to move to Boston. They already had a job. They just want to get rid of it. Boom, we were already ready to rock and roll, took advantage of the situation, and we still live in the house now. But that's the importance of it, because I hopefully, things happen for a reason, but hopefully they didn't get too crushed and they can move on and bought another. But that happens. You get attached to these things, and sometimes those hard conversations coming from you're only setting them up for success. It's not that you don't want their dreams to come true, right? Some people get offended and they're like, "Oh man, he doesn't want the best for me." If anything, that's the complete opposite. That's exactly what he wants for you, and you want a win-win across the board.
Yes. Always. I don't. Sometimes you got to manage emotions too. It's not just expectations of the client. This market is perfect for it because everybody wants the house. Yeah. And they get frustrated, right? You go and see like 10 houses, and then you make offers, but you're getting like going into bidding wars and things of that nature. And I've seen somebody like throw some ridiculous money and still get the offer declined.
Wow.
Where I've seen somebody that just went at the bare minimum with a positive attitude, saying like, you know what, this is the most I'm going to do it, and if a dime more than that, I don't care, I'm walking away. And that's gotten accepted.
Wow.
So it's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's also kind of messed up from the seller's standpoint of it. This is just my point of view.
Yeah.
Where they think that a certain loan or a certain thing, like, so I'll give you an example. I'm not going to go into details in that kind of nature, where maybe we can set up another time to go get into loans and details like that. Somebody's buying a house for like 5% down, okay? And the seller's agent calls me and was like, hey, why is this person buying with 5% down? Because they have the theory where they tell their clients, the sellers, that, oh, only if you put 20% down, that these guys are reliable buyers, which is not true.
Right.
I told them, and this is the seller's agent. I'll tell you we'll go back to how I built this relationship.
Yeah.
So I told the seller's agent, hey, no disrespect. I'm sorry if I come off the wrong way, but I got to be honest to you. These clients got so much money that they can buy this house like 3 times in cash.
Yeah.
They're only putting 5% down. Number one, it's because they qualify for it.
Yeah.
Because it's a significantly large amount of, because she was so surprised, like it's in the suburbs, high payments and taxes and that kind of nature.
Yeah.
And number two is lending is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
Money's cheap now.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're not going to use, you can ask a billionaire right now.
Exactly.
If they can afford $1 million in a loan, they would take that than using their own cash. Mm-hmm. So the perception is a little different. And the seller's agent was like, wow, I need somebody like you on my team. Is it okay if I start referring clients to you? And I was like, hey, say no more.
Wow.
Because the perception was different. Where it's just like, oh, they put 5%, so that means they can't afford the house. Or like, hey, it was like, they have to put 20%. Or like, it was just that one conversation that just, like I said, build a relationship.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever, and this was an older woman that's been in the game for like 30 years and that never had a mortgage individual on her team. Nobody took the time, that 1 minute conversation, to tell her that, dude, that's all irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know, you can send anybody to me and I'll explain to them what they do is completely their decision.
Yeah.
But they don't have to put that 20% down.
Right.
Right. So, and it just went on from there.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, and that was it maybe in the 80s or the 90s and stuff like that. But as you said, times are changing or have changed. So it's interesting. So what's your take on, switching gears a little bit, for what we see on TV and what the audience gets to see on TV, from the buying and selling experience and flipping this and flipping that? What is your take on all of it? Is there a hint of truth? Is it just kind of fluff for entertainment value?
It looks good on TV. Reality is a little different.
Of course.
Yes. Even on social media, right? When a deal closes, you see everybody popping champagne and happy because but there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah, for sure.
And same thing, each individual is a project of its own. Each property is a project of its own. With that being said, yes, there is truth to it.
Yeah.
And it's okay if there are individuals that don't know about it, right? Like, it's okay because there are so many guidelines and so many ways to go into a property.
Yeah.
It's not like this is the only way you can do it, where there are 101, let's just say, scenarios or opportunities to do that. TV shows are great. I don't think they always tell the whole truth.
Yeah.
They like to make it easy, and sometimes it's hard to do everything or show everything. But yeah, no, you just have to take it as it comes.
Yeah, I love the ones where it's like, what option do you want? Do you want house 1, 2, or 3? I want 3. Okay, great. And all of a sudden they're already like ripping the floors off. I'm like, wow, probably obviously the biggest part of that entire project was even getting possession of this house, right?
Right.
Not just yanking off the rugs from, beautiful floors underneath. Yeah. So no, I definitely feel you on that one.
And they don't talk about the expenses or, all that stuff is cut out, which you got to kind of budget,
So what's next for you, right? What's your goal for the rest of 2021? What are you focused on? What are you looking forward to? That kind of thing.
Like I said before, unfortunately, I got married. So my wife and I, so I can only speak from experience.
Sure.
So how you said that, number one, I am closing on an investment property with one of my realtors tomorrow morning.
Nice, congrats.
Multi-unit in Upper Darby.
Very cool.
So that's, I wanted to get something under our portfolio to get income.
Yeah.
Once the wedding and everything was done, our families were generous.
Yeah.
Where we got some gifts and we didn't want to spend it on things that weren't going to give us any returns.
Nice.
And we split it up in 2 ways. And it's just so weird how it played out. One of my realtor buddies said, hey, he was looking for a multi-unit. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was something that was very affordable, and he could have done it on his own.
Yeah.
He just needed that push.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, listen, I'll go halves with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay? And he's like, what do I need to do? And I just said, well, consider yourself, you got a discount on the mortgage side of things.
Right.
You're right. And he's like, well, consider that I'm not taking my commission from here. Okay?
Nice.
So I was like, all right, well, that's great. So now let's get to the bottom of this. He said that he did me a solid.
Yeah.
He said he'll put the mortgage in his name, where I owe him a favor later on. I said, all right, that's fine. That's fair. So we went and saw a few properties, and the numbers were the same. Okay, so there was these rundown houses, 2 units, and the numbers were the same. The income was the same, but then we ran into this house that the sellers bought from foreclosure in 2019. They completely renovated the place, and there's 2 teenagers that live there.
Yeah.
And the teenagers were construction workers, nephews of the seller. The only reason we even got this deal, to be honest with you, is because we bought it as an investment property.
Gotcha.
Like, it wasn't our primary property.
Yeah.
And the one thing they said was like, I'm glad you guys are buying this property because I don't want to kick these kids out.
Yeah.
And when we went and saw them, they were like, hey, listen, if you were the one buying it, can we stay for like another 2 years?
Yeah.
And I was like, done. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
you don't have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. And
And if there was any issues with the property, well, that's their job.
yeah, exactly.
So we got
That's
lucky with
awesome.
that. 2 weeks later, my wife and I, it's kind of weird. It was her birthday 2 weeks ago. And we went away for a weekend, and at nighttime, I was laying in bed, and we went to Baltimore. There's nothing else to do around here. We couldn't. My wife's a nurse, so she couldn't go anywhere far.
Sure.
So therefore, I was laying in bed at the hotel, and this one property came back on the market, like you said.
Wow.
It was off the market for 3 months, and it came back to the market with the same asking price that it went off in November, which was a little weird.
Yeah.
So I told my realtor, hey, I have to go see this property. Like, let's go. And then I told her, hey, can we leave today? And like right now? And she was like, you can wait 12 hours. And I was like, no, we got to go now. Like,
Yeah.
She's like, no, just go to sleep. Clearly, I didn't sleep all night.
Yeah.
Got up in the morning. My back was ready to go. I got her coffee and it said, take a shower. Let's go.
Yeah.
Drove an hour and a half from Baltimore to Jersey.
Yeah.
And I already knew we were going to make an offer for this house. I just don't know how it was going to play out, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny that I give this advice to everybody. But when you go through it yourself, man, I felt like the littlest kid in the world.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm sitting here cheesing, happy, calling it my baby. I want this.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, this is so funny, man. And she was the one who told me, was like, I saw what you told everybody else. Why are you acting like them? And I was like, dude, are you serious? You see this place? It's beautiful, right? All right. So we got back in the car, told the relative to make the offer and whatever, right? Bare minimum. Okay. You know, I said, hey, listen, we're going to put bare minimum down. We want to get it. This is the max that we were going to even offer for this place. We don't want to go into a bidding war. You know, and I was open to the realtor so they know, he knows. He's not getting his expectations because, you know, he's putting time, his effort, you know, filling out these paperworks are no joke.
Yeah.
You know, and at the same time communicating it to the listing agent.
Yeah.
They accepted the offer.
Wow.
So we wound up getting 2 properties in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
That we're going to be settling in the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
Dude,
Good for you.
That's awesome.
And so we took our wedding funds and did it that way.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Big thing here, big message there too is you walk the walk, right? So a lot of people just talk and tell people to do X, Y, and Z, which is it's funny because you know you do get the excitement like a little kid because you're pumped up. Well, first of all, you know you're aware of the business, you're aware of the industry, you're aware, so you know on both ends you were truly getting a good deal, so you knew it was going to work out. If everything went through, you're like, this is a win-win for everybody.
Correct.
So it is exciting. That's awesome. So good for you.
Thank you.
Heck yeah. And that's what I like. So when we have our guests on here, it's kind of like what we always talk about. This is the real deal, right? You know, we get folks who give, you know, great advice and all that other stuff, but they don't necessarily do what they say, right? Or do what they preach. So it's good that we have that. So do you have any parting words or anything you like to say to anyone listening? And if not, you know, how people can reach out to you and connect with you?
To be honest with you, yes, anybody can reach out to me. I can, you know, my phone number is 215-531-3246. You can call me. That's my cell phone number at any time, of course. Don't call me at inappropriate times.
Reasonable hours, folks.
Yeah, business only.
Yeah.
You know, my email address is bthomas@savingswithansmortgage.com. And, you know, I'm not on Facebook. I will get there. I'm on Instagram, and it is, my name is Bob Thomas, and my ID is the Mortgage Doc 215. So
Awesome. All right, so there you have it. We like to wrap things up with quotes, and the first one is by Notke. Hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. And the second one by Vince Lombardi Jr. The dictionary is the only place that success comes before work. The Mortgage Broker. In this episode, we have special guest Bob Thomas. We discuss mortgage loans, building relationships, reality TV shows, and the competitiveness of real estate. We wrap the episode up with quotes by Notke and Vince Lombardi Jr. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyleeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyleeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.